Hi, I'm not David. David's the one who knows what a vacuum former actually is, but he's asked me to introduce his show. So, this is Pixels and Props, the podcast about people who chase impossible things and won't let go. Alright, here he is.
Hey there, my name's David, and welcome to the Pixels and Props podcast. On today's episode, I speak to a guy from LA who's been working on replicating the Superman return suit for the last 20 years. He's been fortunate enough to use some screen use pieces from the film, as well as making many iterations of his own designs and going through lots and lots of testing. We had a really great conversation, talking all things Superman and lots of prop making and a lot of fun things. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you so much for tuning in. Please enjoy this conversation with myself and Matt Munson.
Good day, sir.
Hey, Matt, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
I feel like I'm in a work meeting, except I'm wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I've got like it all set up, like a camera there and a light there. It's like, I think I'm right. So yeah,
I think so too. How are you? It's good to finally e-meet you.
yeah, I know. It's we've talked like over the time and things, but yeah, it's good to finally face to face. So
Now, where do you hail from, sir?
Melbourne, Australia.
Okay, I'm a Kiwi, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm from Auckland.
Oh no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can we still be friends, or is that going to get in the way? Or
Well,
how's that gonna...
funny enough, my father's born in New Zealand, so I guess we're good.
Fantastic. Yeah, I grew up in Auckland and just a suburb right outside Sydney for a number of years before we moved to America, and I got my accent beaten out of me. So
Right. Well, yeah, you've definitely got like the thick American accent now. So
I've been assimilated. Yeah.
yeah, oh, that's great. So you've been working on this Superman project for a long time. Like
A long time.
came into like following you about 2010 when I started joining the RPF replica
Yeah.
forum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me just a bit about yourself and how you got started.
Yeah. Gosh, that's a great question. Well, I guess I've been a Superman fan my whole life. In fact, I brought photographic evidence. Speaking of Australia, this is a picture in my parents' bedroom when I was about 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I'm wearing some kind of kludge together. I mean, obviously it's not screen accurate, obviously, but yeah, just been a fan my whole life. And when the Chris Reeve movie came out, I found that really captivating and interesting, and I thought that was really cool. And then when years later when Returns came out, like I think in my mind, like the Christopher Reeve movies ended after Superman 2. Like I sort of pretend that Superman 3 and 4 never really happened.
Yeah.
So when Returns came out, a long period of time had passed before there was another Superman on screen. And I remember, I think my reaction to the suit initially, I was kind of like, all right, I mean, they're obviously trying to update it, make it look more modern and, use more contemporary construction techniques. And I definitely think that in hindsight, like when you look at the Reeve suit today, it is very primitive. I mean, it was, it might have been cutting edge at the time, and it definitely captured the iconic look of the comic books very accurately. But I think they really want to make it not as primitive with the return suit.
Yeah.
And it just really grew on me. Like I sort of find I get very attracted to challenges. And there were so many things about that suit where I was like, well, I don't know how they did that. I have no idea how I would do that. And so it just sort of started this big journey that I guess I'm still on to this day, that I hope actually that there's a chance it'll wrap up this year. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. So what year did you start the actual project? Was it straight after the movie?
I think it took a year or two for me to really commit to it. And what really did it um, I remember I really didn't want to pursue it unless I had at least one component from the production made suit, either screen use piece or production made piece, because there's so many mysteries in that suit. And at the time, there's just like reference material wasn't as easy to come by as it is today. And I wanted to hold off until I got a hold of something from production. And a couple of years after the movie came out, I got a hold of a chest emblem, a production made chest emblem.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, this, like, not only does this answer a lot of questions, but it sort of helps frame out some other things. So I was like, all right, I will officially pursue this. And so, that was like 17 years ago.
What is it? It's the 20th anniversary next year. So
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it came out in 2006. So yeah, if you had a couple years of delay,
yeah.
and but I think if anything, like and I think about this a lot, by the way, like I have two really big projects on my plate. I've got the Superman suit and of course the Michael Keaton Batmobile that I'm building, and like they're both just they're so deceptively complex. Like when you look at both of those things, like how hard could it be, right? How why is that so hard?
Yeah.
And it just turns out that there was such a steep learning curve on both those things. And with the Superman suit, the mistake I made is I insisted on perfection. And perfection is the nemesis of done.
Yeah.
And every step of the way, like it just got more and more complicated and more expensive. And when I just finally got the boots done, right? That's sort of what sparked our conversation.
Yeah.
And like the boots have been so hard. Like the boots are their own creature. Like I was so shocked to learn how hard it is to make a pair of shoes or boots or anything, much less trying to replicate something as complex as those boots you saw on screen. So it's sort of like it was just an endless series of tremendous challenges that required either new skills, learning new materials, learning new techniques, figuring stuff out, reverse engineering stuff. And like every single piece of that costume is a complete nightmare. It's nothing's easy about that suit.
No, I mean, you've probably watched the behind the scenes a million and millions of times, just, especially the costume bit where they've had different iterations, through production where it just looks in its rawest sculpted form through to the final product. And yeah, when they're looking at the boots, you can just see it's like beautifully sculpted, especially at the very end, which I believe you have an actual screen use and what do you say, the sole of the boot?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. In fact, I have it right here. If you have any questions or curiosities, I have it right here. But yeah, like that. This was another piece that just pursuing getting this soul right was a years long quest. With a ton of iterations to it, a ton of different sort of like miracles and mysteries, and then after 5 years, like I tried to get a 3D sculptor to model a pair. I tried to get a traditional sculptor to sculpt a pair in clay. I worked with a company in South America who made like a mock-up and it wasn't right. And then they abandoned me. And then I had a huge breakthrough many years ago. Apparently on the series finale of Smallville, they originally had a shot planned where there was going to be like a shot across the snow in the Fortress of Solitude, and they wanted to show the footprints from these boots.
Yeah.
So production put together these like stamps of just the bottoms of the soles, and I got a hold of them. So I had like this part of the sole, but not these parts. Or this part. And so like that was a huge breakthrough for me because now it sort of set the stage and I was like, okay, well, maybe I can sculpt the other parts or fine. And then like a couple years later, a real pair fell into my hands.
Yep.
And like there was no turning back. So it's like I think that where the only way I go to sleep at night is I tell myself that if I had gone any faster, the suit would not have come out as good as it looks like it's going to.
Yeah.
because I wouldn't have gotten a hold of the pieces that I got a hold of.
I know. It's like you can try and put up reference, even have someone, physically sculpt it, 3D sculpt it, but unless you get the screen use bit and then adapt from that, you're not going to really get an accurate suit. So, going back to Smallville, actually, so
Yeah.
they used one of the return suits at the finale.
Yeah, that's right. The suit, the return suit appeared in a couple different episodes. There was one where it was like in a box where it was being presented to Clark. There was a couple where you could see it inside the ice cone thing it was in.
Yeah,
But someone was wearing that suit, or at least parts of it,
yeah.
for the season finale. Yeah.
Yeah, there's one shot that will always just get in my head, and there's a bit where it's Jonathan Kent's holding it, and it's not that exact suit.
That's
And
right.
I've always
Yeah.
boggled my mind why they didn't do that.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I remember freeze framing on that a bunch. Like the cape didn't look right to me. There were a couple things that were weird about it. I'm like, but like I don't know if you've ever worked. You worked on movies. You do VFX stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so like it could have been, who knows, maybe the day of filming, like maybe the cape caught the light wrong and the director was like, I want a different cape. We can't have, who knows what happened.
yeah.
But yeah, so many weird things about it. It's even to this day, man, every time I look at the costume, I'm like, it's a good looking suit, but it's just, I find it so interesting how complex it is. And even then, like if you look at the suits that are in movies today, it's primitive by today's standards. Like there's so much going on in like the Marvel suits of today. Even Henry Cavill's suit was way more complicated
Oh yeah,
than Brandon Routh's suit. So I guess it's a process.
absolutely. Well, like completely different side of the movies, but that's like probably the most technical. I would say for the last 20 years would be the Raimi Spider-Man suit, like with the raised webs and
Yeah,
textures. That would have been a very because they had to obviously make a big mold of like all for the raised webbing and all that's like a technical process itself. Same as Superman Returns with all the micro S's.
absolutely. Yeah, I think those two suits actually have a lot in common. I think the construction techniques, like they both have the muscle undersuit. They had like the screen printed fabric details on top of it. So they definitely both came from the same time. So it makes sense that like that was the state of the art at that time. Just like how like the Black Panther suit has a lot in common with the Cavill suit. And I think everyone's always learning and improving on each other's work. So who knows what's next?
Exactly. Well, it's like a lot of the cosplays you see now are getting really accurate as opposed to if you want to make it back in say 2006. Um, if you like making Superman Return suit fresh today with like today's technology with 3D printing and stuff, how would you go about doing that? Would you like try and use like a lot more modern techniques or just like try and replicate what was done back then?
Yeah, I don't know. I think my sort of tragic answer is I don't know if I do anything different. Like my goal for this suit was to have it as close to screen accurate as possible with as many screen accurate components as possible. So like, there's a guy out there who does fantastic 3D modeling and he offers a chest emblem. Now my chest emblem, hold on, I happen to have it right here. So this is a production made chest emblem,
Wow.
not screen used, but this is made by the same people out of the same mold. So this is the exact same colors,
Yep.
same pigment, same material. So, but it has a flaw in it. Like there's probably the reason I own it and it wasn't used in the movies. There's a flaw in it, right? So, I could go to that 3D modeler guy and say, hey man, yours doesn't have that flaw. Can I, should I use that in my project instead? And I just made a decision. I was like, I don't want it. I'd rather have the provenance with the flaw than a perfect piece, but have it just be kind of scratch built. And like no one's gotten the belt right. Oh, by the way, production made belt right here.
Yep. Wow.
Like no one's gotten this right. There's plenty of replicas out there, but they're just not quite right.
Speaking of
Go
which,
ahead.
I got this probably 2007.
Nice.
That's Ricky's.
Ricky's Custom Costumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He has sold a lot of those belts. I mean, they look good, and I
Yeah.
think when you see it, like no one's like, oh, is that a Batman belt, right? Like no one mistakes it for
Yeah.
something else. But when I hold it next to mine, I'm like, okay, there's some subtle differences. But yeah, like I actually bought one of Ricky's suits years ago. And it never even occurred to me to be like, okay, I'm done with it. I just thought there might be some parts of it I could use. Turns out there weren't. But there's been so many different iterations, and I think, like I was saying, my real curse is my commitment to perfection, and I
Yeah.
think that's why here we are 20 years later.
I know,
And
right?
I'm hoping to finish it this year. But no, but the stars have aligned, man. The last piece of the puzzle was really that muscle suit. I don't know if you saw that, but
Yes.
I got a hold of a production made muscle suit. I actually got two. I take it back. I got three. There was a prototype muscle suit and then a production made one that that Ralph ended up wearing during filming. And I got a hold of one of those, and I never thought I would like that. I didn't even know that was on the table. But if I had plowed ahead and just made something out of foam or something, or just bought one of the ones that are out there from different makers, I probably wouldn't be happy with it. So it's weird. It's been a giant piece of annoyance, but when it's done, man, it's gonna be
Yep.
perfect.
So I originally thought with the muscle suits they might have been just like actual foam padding, but in the ones you're doing, it's like foam latex.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the way I understand it, and I've heard this from a couple different sources. There's a company named ADI, which made like six iterations. Nope, that's not the right word. They made six of them. And they were all one style. And it was sort of like a turnkey thing. It wasn't custom sculpted. It wasn't sculpted on Ralph's body. It was just sort of there, hey, here's a muscle suit. And I have pictures of Ralph in costume wearing that muscle suit. You can tell it's very sort of unique in its musculature. And I guess for whatever reason, Singer didn't like it, and so they went back to the drawing board, started again, sculpted clay muscles on top of a Ralph body casting, and then cast them in foam. So yeah, the screen used ones are foam latex, and I don't mean like the two-part ones that us amateurs use, but like the whatever the 8 component one where you have to squish it into the stone mold and bake it in the oven. And so that's what I have. But for my process, the way I chose to duplicate it was basically to make it rigid and then make a mold of it. So my molds, uh, just based on the limitations of my knowledge, experience, and materials, my molds are made around rigid muscle pieces that I plan on casting in like two-part expanding foam. So even though the construction technique won't be accurate to production, but I think functionally for me, it'll be just fine. That will tick the box, especially seeing as how it's underneath the bodysuit. No one's gonna, I think, question me if it's a foam latex and not expanding urethane foam. I mean, fingers crossed. You never know.
Yeah, because I remember when is it Louise Mingham back? I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
She was going through like all the suits, and then she was going through muscle suits, and you can see like how super thin it is. Like compared to the Cavill suits, where they're just they're just there to show like all muscle.
Yeah.
And like these, they're kind of like, how do I describe it? Like very thin material to cover it all, like almost like a stocking kind of material. Would you
Yeah.
do something like that?
On the Cavill suit or the Ralph suit?
The Ralph suit.
From what I understand, the Ralph suit stuff was, I mean, it was lightweight and thin, but it wasn't like transparent or translucent like the Cavill stuff. Because
Yeah.
with the Cavill suit, they wanted to be able to see the silver airbrushed musculature underneath. But with the Ralph suit, it was definitely thick enough to cover. Like there's some discoloration between like the undersuit and the muscle. It's not all the same. There's some seams here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely more of an opaque fabric, at least in the samples I've seen. and it hides it pretty well. I guess. I don't know. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I love all those behind the scenes videos. Like it's really cool seeing how the suit evolved over the course of the movie, and it's really interesting. Like you're right. The musculature they made for Ralph is both subtle and strange. Like it's very interesting to me the parts they chose to augment on him. So for example, the two pecs are very thin. Maybe a half inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch at its thickest part. But overall, the pecs are very thin. The shoulders add a good chunk of mass. What's really interesting though is the lats. The lats in the back add a lot of thickness. Like they really bulked him out on his lats and back. And I assume that's just because they wanted a certain silhouette or a look out of Ralph in the costume. And Bryan Singer was probably like, "Hey man, we need more beef here, more beef here." And that's what they got. Like even the biceps are just these tiny little pieces. So I guess Ralph's arms were good, but shoulders and lats not so much. So it's really interesting how custom tailored that sculpt was to Ralph. Where if you look, like you were saying, if you look at the Cavill muscle suit, it's like just shovel beef at the guy, just
Yeah.
make everything bigger except his waist. And so it's really interesting, and I think that part of the look of Ralph's Superman that I thought was really cool is he was sort of believable as a guy. He could pull off a reporter. If he just puts on a shirt and a jacket, he just looks like a gym bro. He's not like some wall of beef like Cavill was. Not that I have no complaints about Cavill as Clark or Superman, but I thought that was really interesting, and I think that was one of the things that I really liked about Ralph, that he was like believable as an everyman in the movie.
Yeah. So one thing that I've been very focused on in your Superman Returns costume journey is the cape. And even myself, I tried so long just to try and get an accurate one, whether that was just like getting burgundy and pleather and, looking for each different color to get it right. But you've gone to the extreme, man. Like you've done color swatches, you've done different color pigments, and there's a term that I just can't remember. Is it ombre or ombre?
Ombre.
Ombre, yeah.
Yeah, that transitional dye from
Yeah.
light color to dark color. The cape is such a disaster. It's such a mess. It's so interesting to me how much thought and effort went into that cape, and how I think that like 90%, I'm making this up, 90% of the work and detail that went into that cape you never see on screen. The fact that the whole cape, the entire surface, has that little micro diamond texture on it. It's got that fabric inside it that has that ombre transition from dark to light.
Yeah.
There's a weird little mechanism in the back to hold it in place. It's got these little triangle clips that go inside the cape. It's just such an amazing piece of engineering, and like that's another great example of something where I had to learn so much to be able to duplicate that. Like I had to build a giant table, like an 8x12 flat table, just to mold the thing on. And I had never molded something that big before. And so, I had to make a silicone mold and a fiberglass jacket, and I had to figure out a way how to handle that and move it around. And then it just became a years long effort in experimenting with materials and pigments, so that I could get that same look as the cape. And that's another one of those things where, thank God, I had on hand, someone loaned me a screen used cape for like 6 months. So I had it on hand to look at, to take tight photos of, to scan, to measure. And I don't know where I think if I hadn't got that, like I probably would have abandoned the project, because the key to that project succeeding is that weird outer shell and knowing that how the fabric looks on the inside. So it was wild. And that's another thing, like everything's in place for me to actually finish that. I just have to do it. Like I have the fabric, I have the mold, I have the materials. I figured out how to pigment it. I figured out how to adhere everything together. Just got to do it
Yeah.
this year.
Is that your aim to try and get a lot more done this year?
I'd really love to. Like now that the boots are done, like the boots were sort of what I would call the long pole in the tent. Like these were just mentally. I knew that without getting these done right, nothing else mattered.
Yeah.
And so the opposite is also true. Now that these are done, and I mean, I literally could not have imagined a better result. These turned out so perfectly.
Yeah.
Um, Now that these are done, like this is fuel to the fire to actually finish the suit up. And like, I've been working a lot just these past couple weeks on the muscle suit. I made some progress on figuring out how I'm going to finally produce the fabric with the stripes on it and everything. So like, I think the tragedy is right now everything's in place. There's no missing components. There's no missing techniques. All I have to do is actually do the labor,
Yeah.
which is a good problem to have.
Have you? So you've had a fair few like screen use parts of the suit. Have you had a? Have you been able to get a hold of the actual bodysuit?
No, no, I have not.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of. By the way, well, let me clarify. I have not had in my personal possession a suit, but I have had a chance to examine firsthand at my leisure a couple screen use suits. And honestly, one thing I was just thinking of today when I was kind of mentally preparing for this discussion,
Yep.
like 10 years ago, Prop Store had a suit for sale and they wanted like 25 grand for it. Don't get me wrong, I don't have 25,000 bucks to throw away, but like I imagine how different my life would be if I'd have just bought it and been like, okay, we're done, it's over, it's all.
But if you did that, like I feel like you just have like you really just want to pick it apart. It would just become probably a deeper obsession.
Yeah, I think so. I think probably where it would have led me is just to duplicate it and then sell it. But that said, and I think if anyone were to ask me what like the most interesting thing about the whole project has been, and sir, I hate to sound so cliche, but it is the people I met along the way.
Yeah.
All the friendships that developed, all the things that came about as a result of my madness, pardon me, dedication to this project. And I think what's really interesting is like if I was just making parts for sale, like if I had a website where we're selling belts and capes and boots and stuff, I don't think I would have gotten as far as I have. I think where I find the camaraderie is with people who are like-minded in their passions, right? So people see me meticulously pursuing something, whether it's the Batmobile and R2D2, Han Solo and Carbonite, or whatever madness I'm pursuing this year. And that draws the right people forward. It's really interesting. And from those things, from those connections, experiences come forth. I've had a chance to meet and befriend a number of people from production of the movie. I've never met Ralph, which I'm sure I suspect will happen eventually.
Yeah.
But so much great stuff has come from just trying to get this damn costume made. And I think that's really interesting. And I think when people trust you enough to send you screen used pieces to mold or scan or photograph or whatever, and then you send it back intact and it's not destroyed, other people notice that, or maybe they're not going to be bashful about sending you the next thing that you're interested in. So not to make it sound like 100% utilitarian, but like I think it turned out to be a real opportunity to like establish myself as someone who's trustworthy and is all about the art.
Yeah.
And I think a trap that a lot of people fall into nowadays when it comes to the hobby is, what can I do to make a quick buck? I don't, I'm not, I just want to move on to the next thing and bang out a few, whatever shitty, pardon me, terrible castings and move on. But I'm kind of like, no, I just want this to be perfect. That's what I'm after. So
Yeah.
I think if even if I never end up with the completed costume, knock on wood, it's been an amazing ride. It's been really awesome.
Absolutely. Would you would you, Would you put it like a little documentary together of like your whole journey, or do you think the blog is like the documentary?
Well, the bummer is like the blog feels so outdated now. Like I invested a lot of time and effort into my blog. I wrote a lot of stuff down, and I think like well, first of all, I don't know if anyone would care other than you and I, but like I think there's definitely like a long form video where I sort of walk through each of the components, what was involved, maybe the backstory of each one, or maybe there's a 10-minute video on the belt and I tell the story of the belt, and there's a 5-minute video on the chest dome or something. But like, I personally love that kind of stuff. And I have learned so much stuff about just the art of making, excuse me, from videos like that.
Yeah,
Um, so I think I should do that. That's a great idea.
there you go. You were saying like, yeah, over the years you've met people from the movie. Is that just in the costume department, or is that like various?
I went to a movie premiere, and I know Bryan Singer isn't the most popular guy in Hollywood right now. But at the time, ran into him and had a lovely little conversation with him. Like, we sat down for like 20 minutes, and told him about his next project. I asked him some goofy questions. I know one of the writers of the
Wow.
film.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been really cool. And then along the way, like just intersecting with behind the scenes people has been really interesting. Like you mentioned the behind the scenes documentary. What's it called? Superman Requiem or something, right?
Yes.
So years ago, I met the dude who made that. Like he also did a bunch of stuff for Star Trek Next Generation. Like his sort of bread and butter for a while was those behind the scenes documentaries. Had a couple great conversations with him. So been interesting.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen it in like a lot of behind the scenes movies nowadays are just like in little bits of chapters, and they might be 20 minutes or so. But this whole thing, if you put it together, it was like over 2 hours, and it just went through everything.
It's great. That's actually one of my favorite. I would say that goes toe to toe with the Lord of the Rings extended edition behind the scenes.
Yes.
And they did a release of the first 4 Batman movies, and like with extensive behind the scenes interviews. Not so much behind the scenes footage, but some really good stuff. But man, yeah, the Superman Returns behind the scenes is really phenomenal. Like it is literally start to finish, and
Yeah.
there's so much great footage, and it really confirms my hypothesis that you should film everything when you're making a movie. You should document heavily everything, because someone out there is going to be really interested in that footage of Brandon Routh underwater being pulled on a cable to see how that looks.
Oh yeah, like it's been, even like some of these moves in that movie are just like, like they went really for aerodynamic, if that's the
Yeah.
word you want to go for it. And the swimming, all those shots definitely helped.
I think they paid a lot of attention to stuff that I think in the Christopher Reeve movies they just didn't have the technology for, or
Yeah.
the foresight for. Don't get me wrong. I have nothing bad to say about the first 2 Reeves movies, and I enjoyed 3 and 4, but for very different reasons, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Returns really was sort of really cutting edge at the time, and I just watched it a few weeks ago. Every time I watch it, I text the writer guy and I'm like, "Hey man, it still holds up." He's like, "Thanks, man." And I think there's a couple VFX shots in it which could stand for some updating, but like it's a good looking movie. I think it's a really good looking movie. It's rock solid.
I mean, I was very interested in, even the way they shot it, because when you look at it, it looks like, well, the way they describe it, like it's going for like a classy cinematic look, even though that term's like thrown everywhere nowadays. But like, yeah, it was just, I don't know how you describe it. Like, it's just not itty and gritty like the other ones. It's just like a classical looking movie.
I would describe it as a vibrant color palette,
Yes.
shot very traditionally,
Mm.
which I think really served the story and the actor's strengths. Like they weren't trying to be avant-garde or unusual. But don't get me wrong, there were some sequences and shots which really I think pushed the limits, like the airplane when it had its little disaster thing. Like
Yeah.
what fantastic sequence! And some of those camera moves or virtual camera moves, they just couldn't do that stuff in the 70s or 80s. So it was I felt it was a great combination of sort of traditional and contemporary. And I think they chose the moments. By the way, I could just be totally talking on my butt. I don't know inside Bryan Singer's mind, but I felt like they really chose to do exciting and interesting camera work when something was exciting and interesting happening on screen. And then when it sort of fell into mundane moments, they really leaned into traditional storytelling, visually, I should say.
Yeah.
I thought that really served the story really well. It was cool.
Mm. I know I've been trying to catch up on some forums, because I think a lot of people, and believe me, like, yeah, there's a lot of people that, want deleted scenes. There's a couple of deleted scenes I want to see, and that's where he's in the Daily Planet getting changed, while they're all looking at the said space shuttle disaster. There was, and like there's even a photo of him like looking in the reflection with his suit on and his glasses on.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's just like those, like we want to see them because it's we want to see more of the suit in different scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to see those. I've heard no rumblings of like a 20th anniversary, super special DVD or Blu-ray, I guess. But
Yeah.
I think that'd be great. Like, one of my biggest dreams, which will never come true, is I would just love it if they just released all the dailies. Like, just give me it all. Show me all the footage. I want to see every take. I want to see the flubs. I'd love to see it all. That'd be so cool. But there's the whole sequence where he goes back to Krypton, which you can find it online. It's available.
Yeah.
And like I thought it was cool. I'm like, you put that back in the movie. I don't mind. And I'm sure there's tons of stuff that just either got cut out for time or pacing, or it was unnecessary, or it told the same information twice or something. But man, I'd love to see that. Yeah.
I feel that so many people from the movie now. I think you can rattle a few cages and put it in motion.
I need to know, what's that guy's name? David Zaslav. I think the bummer is, and it makes me sad to say this, I just don't think there's any money in it. I don't think they would. For us, there's the diehard Returns fans out there, and that's it, right? Like everyone's sort of moved on, I think, which is a bummer. And James Gunn has made it very clear, directly and indirectly, that he wants people focusing on his Superman, which is fine. I totally get that, right? But yeah, I'd be very surprised if there was a revisit of Superman Returns, especially with the controversy around Singer and stuff. So yeah, it's a bummer. Yeah. But I was actually really optimistic when Crisis on Infinite Earths happened on the CW shows, like when Ralph returned to the role in the Kingdom Come suit, and everyone loved it. Like everyone was like, that suit is perfect. Great to see Ralph back in the role. And I thought they really did Ralph justice, or Ralph's version of Superman justice, with those episodes. And I was like, why don't we just do that? Just give me a 10-part, give me a 10-episode, one season of Ralph 20 years older, or whatever, 15 years older at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there was a discussion about it. But here we are without it. So
that's it. Well, he came to Melbourne last year at Metro. Yeah, Metro Comic Con, not Supernova. It's a relatively new con, and he did a Q&A panel, and he was just saying, because everyone was asking him, like, do you feel like you got, sort of like, what's the word, like, you just can get the justice you deserve, and that's obviously, the sequel that you were signed on to do. And and the Crisis of Infinite Earths was, was redemption.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, redemption. Yeah, both as an actor and as the character. Have you heard the Michael Rosenbaum interview with Brandon Routh? Like, such a great interview.
Yeah.
Like, that was, really nice long form interview where they really dug into the stuff. And like he didn't really give any new information to me, but like, man, how heart-wrenching just hearing him talk about it, like thinking, I mean, imagine you're just an actor, you're just some dude, and then you literally land the role of a lifetime.
Yeah.
and you probably go to bed for a year or two thinking, I'm set, I'm done. I've won the lotto, and this is all I need. It didn't work out that way, and I find that so tragic. But man, that's Hollywood is a fickle mistress, man. Even if all the right pieces are in place, it can, there's a million and one reasons a movie can fail or not get a sequel.
Yeah.
And I don't think Ralph he should be proud of his contribution. Like, I thought he delivered a great performance. He looked great. He played both roles, or excuse me, all three roles great. But for whatever reason, that movie just didn't land the way it should have. And then he was cooked. Like, that was it for years for him.
Yeah. I mean, he's done some really good stuff, out of that, like Scott Pilgrim and Chuck.
Yeah, he did a season on Chuck. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but I think he went from tentpole leading man to working actor.
Yeah.
And like I cannot wrap my head around how soul crushing that must have been. And I think when he was on Inside of You, the Rosenbaum show, I think that's where it really came out. Like, you could see it in his face.
Yeah.
He didn't even try to hide it. Like, that was, I can't even imagine. Poor guy. But like I said, he had his redemption, and he's still a working actor. I don't know what he's working on now, but hey, there are worse fates than being in a beloved Superman movie, I think.
Yeah, so in the documentary, Brandon Routh gets asked, are you afraid of the Superman curse? And his response was, well, something could happen to me, and I won't take the role, but, and then vice versa, something, could happen, I'll, still take the role, but, he wasn't too fazed by it. And I think his Superman curse is the film not doing as well and not getting the sequel.
Yeah. I think that's right. I mean, I personally don't believe in curses, so now obviously some tragedies have befallen people who have been involved in the Superman projects over the years. But I think if I looked at my line of work, there's people who have died in software. So does that mean software is cursed? No. But it is a bummer. Like, I think you could extend that forward and say it's tragic that Cavill didn't get a trilogy. Why was there no Batman solo movie? Like, you pick. There's all kinds of tragedies in the business. So
yeah, I really didn't like that when they, were on board to bring him back, and then they just axed it. It sucks, but I guess that's Hollywood.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, funny story, and I don't think I've told anyone this on camera before.
Okay.
I was listening to an interview with Ralph, and he said something like he dressed as Superman once for the Halloween parade in West Hollywood. And okay, I set that back in my head, because I used to go to that like every year. I'd go to the big shindig in West Hollywood, and it was before like costumes at conventions had really taken off. So it was like the one opportunity a year where you could kind of bring your A game costume wise. And so I was going through photos like 10 years ago. I was scanning a bunch of photos, and I had a block of photos, and they were all taken with like a normal camera, an analog camera.
Yeah.
And I was scanning my photos, and I was dressed as Batman at the time. And in the background, I see this dude who's wearing like, it wasn't a Superman costume. It was like he had a Superman t-shirt, and then like a shirt and a tie, but the tie was loose, and he had the jacket open. I was like, oh, that's him. Brandon Routh is in the background of one of my photos from Halloween. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like, wow. All right. So I guess our paths, and I was dressed as Batman at the time. So make of that what you will, I suppose. Good times.
Superman vs. Batman unofficial.
That's right. But yeah, I really hope to get the costume finished this year. I just kind of want to get it not behind me, but I want it to be done. Like, it's sort of turning into an albatross for me. But like I was saying, with the boots done And by the way, I don't know if you could tell from the photos I posted or the video, but they're just perfect. Even the color, man. Just today, so I pulled this chest emblem out for our conversation, and I was like, I wonder how closely the colors on the chest emblem match to the boots.
Yep.
And I don't know if you can tell from the webcam, but like, it's really good.
Yeah.
Like, and this is production made, so this is as accurate as it gets. And it's really close, these two. Forget the soles, by the way, that was a test casting. But like, I'm so happy with how these turned out. And like, in my opinion, without these or these done poorly, for me, the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah. So
Having that done, I mean, heck, the biggest problem now is I gained like 10 pounds over Christmas, so I gotta hit the gym a little. So I don't. No one wants a non six pack Superman. So I gotta get to work on that.
yeah. Oh, can you just show the boot again? I just want to see the detail of like the micro S's. I don't know how clear it's going to be in the camera.
Hold on. Let me move my little light here. Try not to knock it over. Hold on one sec.
Yeah, look at that. That's
Yeah, there's so much going on in here. Like this is leather, and like, so remember I was saying when I got the chest emblem, a bunch of things fell into place.
yeah.
So the micro S's on the chest emblem are the same as the ones on the leather. So I used the chest emblem as a template to draw up artwork to get the leather laser etched. And then, this took like 10 iterations trying to get the leather right, get it etched right. And I went through a few different companies, and I finally found a local company that had a laser cutter, but we had to do it 3 times because we kept getting the wrong depth or whatever. It just didn't go right. And then like, so there's not only the micro S, but there's this rib leather, and there's also this embossed leather. And so I didn't have a solution for this embossed leather. I was like, well, I've got something that's sort of like that, but it wasn't great. And this, we tried to figure out a way to make this, and we're like, well, it's not perfect, but it'll do. And then out of nowhere, the person who made the boots for me found production used leather. This is the exact same stuff from the exact same chunk that they made boots for in the movie. Now, that said, there's a bunch of variation across boots that they made for production. So it might not look exactly like what was on screen, but that's the exact same stuff that was used in production. Like, it's just one of those weird twists where, like, if I had tried to make those myself, which I did, they never would have come out that well. And the person who made them for me might not have stumbled on that extra leather. So it's kind of like, everything happens for a reason.
That's it.
But yeah, just filled with those boots.
Yeah. With the boots, I was refreshing through your blog. Did you, like, for some tests, did you like actually take some swatches of the emblem for the micro S's for the boots?
How do you mean?
Like, like you can take an impression.
Oh, okay. So not exactly. So what I did is so the emblem's in 2 parts. There's a back plate.
Yep.
And then there's the S that goes on top of it. So I put this down on a scanner and did a super high res scan of it. And then I took it into Adobe Illustrator and basically just traced out that little S shape and then just replicated it in the same spacing. And that's what became the template for actually laser etching into the leather to use on the boot.
Okay. When you say scanning, was it just a regular scanner, or was it like a specialized scanner?
Just a photo scanner. I mean, it was a really nice one, but it was just, it wasn't like a 3D scanner, just like a flatbed scanner. Yeah. So yeah, it like that helped me a lot. And in fact, early on in my quest for the boots, I got a hold of a previous iteration of the boots. Remember in the behind the scenes documentary, there's a guy who comes up with a pair of boots and he seems really defeated. And he's like, well, we finished the boots, but they want to change the soles again. And he kind of shows the soles, and it was a different sole. I got a hold of a pair of those boots. It might have even been that exact pair in the documentary, for all I know. But they were a lot like these, but also slightly different. There were some differences in like how they made, like this leather was laser etched, but in that earlier pair it was embossed. So like little things changed along the way, but because I had that pair of boots, so getting just that leather right was a whole journey. And I've also really discovered that not everyone shares my degree of lunacy. And some people just aren't fast on getting stuff done, or they're not as precise as I want it to be. And sometimes, when I'm working with like a vendor, like, I used to just 10 years ago, you'd go online and you try to find someone who can laser etch leather. And, you'd find someone who does like, they've got an online store and they sell belt buckles. And so you email them, you say, hey, man, can you do this? And they're like, sure, we can. And then they're like, as long as it's no bigger than 4 inches by 3 inches. I'm like, well, bummer. And then, you kind of move on to the next place, and you gotta buy some leather, send them the leather, have them cut the leather, and then they get it back, and you're like, oh, it's too shallow. Can you do it again, only deeper? Or can you do me do me 5 different samples at different depths? And then one company, I like finally got to a place where I was happy, and then they went out of business. So I never got leather from them. And even then, all of that would have been for naught, because when it finally came to do these boots, we went a totally different direction leather-wise. Like I was kind of going down the veg tan path, and the expectation was, I'd paint it when it was done, when everything was assembled, I'd like paint them. And it turns out that there existed hides that were the exact right color, so I didn't have to paint or dye anything. So like even if that had worked out, I would have had to go backwards for this pair. So, and like everything's been like that.
Yeah.
Nothing is right the first time for this. And the boots are really on my mind lately, and just like the amount of time and effort I spent like just in trying to understand how boots are made. And like I watch videos, I talk to boot makers, and like just the amount of machinery you have to buy to be able to make a pair of actual boots was staggering. Like it's far beyond the scope of what I had hoped to spend on the project. And like it's also like becoming a good boot maker is a lifetime of work. Like even if that's your singular focus, it is a lifetime of work. And I was like, I just want someone to make them for me. And so even then, just finding someone to make them to my quality standards, my accuracy standards, was also a nightmare. So it's like I went through a couple different companies, and there was another company that was always promising they'd take a run at it, and then they never did. And it's been so hard. And it really blows my mind that, they produced, however many couple dozen suits for the movie over the span of a few months. But I guess when you have an army of artisans at your disposal who are all masters of their craft and a ton of money to throw at it, the equation changes.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Whereas you're one man on an almost 20-year mission.
That's right. With no skills, unlimited budget, but no skills. So yeah.
I did have one question about the bodysuit. When you got to examine it, and I've seen it in pictures, but it's very like, I feel like it doesn't get the justice it deserves on screen. And I feel like the diamond patterns, it does look like it's raised.
Yeah. There's a very slight raise to it. At least in one of the suits I examined, there was. I think they use what's called a plastisol ink. It's like the ink they screen print like football jerseys, with like the numbers on the back and stuff. It's got a little bit of a raise to it, and it's also very opaque. And there's different additives you can put into it to either make it glossy or matte or satin, or raised or puffy or thick, or all, there's a million different varieties you can do to them. But yeah, I believe it has a slightly raised texture to it, slightly raised and slightly shiny. But I've also seen different iterations where it doesn't appear to be that way. So who knows?
Would you go about that the same way?
Yeah, yeah. The real challenge with the suit is the torso only has a seam in the back. Like a lot of leotards have seams down the side. So what you end up with is you've got one piece of fabric here and two pieces of fabric on the back and then the arms, right? So the size of your screen to actually print that only needs to be as big as the front piece of the torso. However, because there's no seams on the side, it has to be twice as wide. So getting a screen that big and like traditional printing equipment just isn't designed. Like there's these hot flash ovens that like cook the paint onto the fabric, and it has a little conveyor belt going through it, but it's only a certain width. So if you want to get the right width, you either have to dry it by hand or heat it by hand, or there's this apparatus you can like move over it, but you got to move it around to flash cure it. So it like gets, like I said, like every element of this suit is so wildly complicated. Like nothing's easy about it. And in fact, just last night, this is another great way of how like I'm glad I waited 20 years, because now there's like a place on Amazon, there's a service provider where you send them your artwork and they will burn it onto a screen for you of basically any size. You say what size you want and they'll do it. It's not cheap, but it's reasonable. And so just last night, I was looking at their screen prices, and they've got a screen that will work, but it's slightly too small. And I was like, well, couldn't you just, how about instead of a bleed, you just go all the way to the edge? And like, no, we can't do that. And I was thinking about last night, I was like, you know what, who cares if on the back around the zipper, if there's like a ½ inch of non-diamonds on either side of the zipper, I think I could live with that. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, then that's what I'll do. I'll just get my screen from them. And I already bought one screen from them for the briefs, which is a different diamond pattern. And it was great. It came in like 4 days, and it's exactly what I needed. So they've proven they can do it. And, you know, I went through this like 10 years ago, like finding a screen printer that is either willing to or able to produce an oversized screen at a cost that isn't obscene. Was really hard. It was really hard. And now you just go on Amazon. So
from when you started to now, like what's the like biggest lessons learned from doing this project?
yeah, gosh, that's a great question. I think I've just learned a lot of techniques that I wouldn't have otherwise been forced to learn. Like one of the real big hurdles was finding a combination of flexible urethane and pigment that could not only get me the color I wanted, but also the color opacity and penetration that they got on this chest emblem. And that was literally years of trying every material I could find, every combination of pigment, tint, different materials, different urethanes, different companies of urethanes, different shore hardnesses. And it was another one of those things where I think it was maybe 3 years ago. It was very recent in the journey that I finally found a urethane that worked. And the secret was the whole time I was working on it, I was using Smooth On products. And by the way, I love Smooth On. I have nothing bad to say about Smooth On. Love them to pieces. But their urethane system tends to cure like a milky white. Most of the urethanes have like a sort of maybe even a little bit of a tan white to it, sort of an opaque finish. And so what I discovered is you're basically swimming upstream with the pigments against that milky white. Like you have to beat that white part. And so like, you know, I was pouring in tons and tons of pigment into that to try to get a good color. But oh, here, this is it. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Like for years, this was the best red I could get. So this is what I want, and this is the best I could get.
Yeah.
So they're totally different. I'm sure you can't really tell in the webcam, but like this is not at all what I wanted. And then one day, man, just a couple years ago, I was in my workshop and I had like a little set of sample pucks from a company called BJB. And all of their urethanes, or at least the line that I was interested in, there's cure to a clear amber. And for some reason, it never occurred to me to go for a urethane that was transparent, because now you're not fighting that opaque white with the pigment. The pigment just takes. The only thing you're fighting is a little bit of a tint to the brown side of the spectrum. So I ordered a bunch of BJB, and it all fell into place. Like it was a eureka moment. Like years of work was just discarded because it was irrelevant once I found that material. And now that's what I use for the soles, for the chest emblem, for the belt, everything, because it works with their pigment line so perfectly. Whereas with the smooth on stuff, it was just a nonstop battle to get the color. Oh, the other thing about smooth on is like you can mix it in the cup and get a color that's close. And then when you pour in the B part and it cures, the color totally changes. So I didn't know how to deal with that. But with the BJB, there's a slight shift. It shifts a little bit out of the color that you mix it at. But it's amazing. And it's stuff like that where it's like, if not for just banging my head against the wall for years on it and trying everything I could, I never would have gotten there. I think in hindsight, I could have just called one of my movie buddies, people who actually make stuff for the screen, and just said, hey, I'm really struggling with this. What do you recommend? And they probably could have just said, use a BJB product, you giant dumbass. Yeah.
But you went through trial and error and all the processes, and that's the fun of it, man.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the real takeaway. Like just that process, even though frustrating and expensive, is just really fun. Like, it's like I'm a mad scientist in my workshop, just trying out different materials and different techniques. And when I finally get it, it makes that struggle sort of that much more rewarding. Like if someone had just handed it to me, the answer, I'd probably just been like, oh, cool, okay. But now when I look at the stuff and I'm like, oh man, that's as cool as it is because it took me so much time and effort and money to get it right. So
yeah,
cool.
That's awesome, man.
So I think that's it. Like just the in answer to the original question, the knowledge I learned about materials and techniques and just different ways of making things. Like I'd never done screen printing before this. I really learned a lot about sewing and pattern making. The hunt for just 4-way stretch fabrics was, I learned a lot about what stores have what I want. And so it's like I've got like I don't know if the term Rolodex is still in vogue, but now I have like a rich Rolodex of contacts, of materials, of experience, of techniques to use in future projects. And I think the punchline is, as a builder, the way you grow and get better is via challenges, not by having things handed to you. Right?
That's it.
Yeah.
So what is your next project once you finish this suit?
I have got to get that Batmobile finished.
Dude.
Yeah, like I have dozens of projects that are in some form of disarray. On the spectrum of beginning to finished, most of them are more on the beginning side. But I've got a lot of things that I really like to get done. But number one's got to be the Batmobile. Like that's an even more painful thing than the Superman suit. And I think I've been saying this for a couple of years now, but I feel like if I don't get significant progress done this year, I think I might just I might need to accept that project is outside of the scope of my capabilities. I think knowing your weaknesses, sir, is a long journey, a long and important journey that a man must go through. Yeah, I'd love to just focus on the Batmobile.
Yeah. And I remember the video days where I remember. So you got an old police car.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, and then you just it, and then I saw you, having the shell delivered, and that was that's a journey of its own.
A lifetime ago, man. That was what 2009, 2010, or something. Yeah. That's also been pretty much everything I said about the Superman Returns costume project I could say the same things about the Batmobile. I think the only difference is the Batmobile game is filled with really terrible people.
Yeah.
Whereas I think I think with Superman, like, since there's not really a lot of money to be made, what you end up with is just people who are really passionate about it. Whereas I think in the Batmobile game, there's just a lot of people trying to rip people off, and that's been really painful to navigate over the past 15 years. But it's one of those things where, man, I want that car, I want to have it. So now, what about you? Why do you have a Superman Returns belt? Were you too working on that suit for a while? Or?
Wow. I tried. What was I? I was 17 at the time, and obviously I had no skills in costuming whatsoever. But I had the biggest drive and ambition to make it. So yeah, I just went online and I found the RPF and I found Ricky's website and just I went through so many forums just like of the suit. And I remember I was actually, while I was refreshing through your blog, I remember the Bronze Armory, and I was like, oh yeah, I haven't heard from that phrase. And I went to, I think, and they must have closed up shop. Yeah, there was so many people having a crack at it. I remember there was this one guy. You might remember the video. He was testing out a suit, but his emblem was like huge. It was a returns emblem, but it was like probably like Christopher Reeve size.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that guy. Huh? When was this?
About that time,
Okay.
about 2009, I think.
I remember Bob Dullum made an emblem that might not have been the right size. I wonder if that's the one.
Possibly.
Huh.
Anyway, yeah. So all I really had, and I couldn't, like, being 17 at the time, I couldn't afford a full suit because it was a lot of money. So I just bought the emblem, which
Yeah, looks good. Looks
that's
good.
I decided to take it to Comic-Con to get Brandon to sign it. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, and I made a makeshift costume out of it. I got something that I could wear around and have a bit of fun with.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think it was the same as you. Like it's going to be an insane undertaking of money, time, and time
Yep,
to
yep.
to get the suit, to where you want it. And I feel like if I had poured, a lot of money into that, I still probably wouldn't get as, satisfied as where I want to be with it today. So, but doing research over, the last few years with, a lot more modern costuming techniques, especially 3D printing, I feel like, I wouldn't mind having another crack at it myself. So,
Yeah, I think there's a lot you could do today. Like if I was starting from scratch today, like I think, do you know the guy on Instagram, Art Deving? That's his username. Like he has a pretty decent model, the chest emblem. I think I saw someone did a 3D sculpt of the boots that were really passable. Like there's a lot of stuff where you could just print it out and make a mold of it, and it'd be like, all right, it looks good, man. It looks really good. So
yeah.
there's a lot of stuff available today. And besides, you know me, so I can help you out.
For sure.
But yeah, I think today that might actually be a good time to start on a new costume, because just if only because there's so much good reference available now.
Yeah. I mean, the boots, like you said, are really, really hard to do. And I was kind of thinking of ways, that I could replicate it as best. And what I thought about was actually 3D scanning a toy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even like some of the larger toys, like what about like quarter scale maybe? They still have some really good detail, especially like under the boots. They've got like the whole S patterns.
Yeah, there's some really good stuff out there. Yeah, because those people who made those toys probably had access to all the production assets, so probably gave them a 3D model, so it's probably dead on. Yeah.
Yeah, and then taking it into a 3D program, you can always say you've got like like how you scan the micro S's, you could just take a swatch of that and then what's the word 3D sculpt the details into that and then print it, mold it, and there you go. You've got
yeah man, I should start again. This is good. This is a good idea. Yeah.
Well,
By the
once
way,
you finish this, try a new suit with modern techniques.
yeah. Gosh, I could probably do it in like a weekend or something. Is that a picture of you and Brandon Routh on your shelf back there?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. Here we go for the people.
Oh, that's great. That's so cool.
Yeah. And then when I was getting my emblem signed, I just said to him, dude, thanks so much for, making a great movie. Like, I told him, he helped me through a tough time and his Superman was there when I needed it. And he just loved that. It's like, they say like never meet your heroes. Well, like he was genuine. He was awesome. Like he was like, willing just to have a chat with you. And yeah,
That's great.
it was great. And I think, all the cons he goes to, I think every fan says the same thing. So, he knows he's in a good place with Superman Returns.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I've heard across the board. Like everyone's always really happy to meet him, and he seems like a decent dude. That's great.
Yeah. Actually,
Cool.
I have one more.
Oh wait, there's more.
There's more. Actually,
Oh, very nice. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Was that the one from Haydn's run on the RPF?
that's it. Yeah,
Nice.
Chris. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I've been pushing him to do another run because I want to get Andrew some crystals. He's a bit tied up at the moment, but hopefully in the next year or so he might do another one. So
That's cool. Yeah, that was great. I have a couple of his. I have the Returns one. I have a couple of the Reeve movies ones. Those are really like that was a great contribution to the hobby, man. When he banged those out, I was like, that's awesome. And they look great.
oh
They
yeah,
look great.
yeah, very like I think with the Returns one, if I saw the prop, it's like the ends are a little bit shorter. I think these might be a little bit longer. Like a bit like the screen used ones are a little bit bigger, but still, it looks pretty accurate. So
Right. Like I think maybe in my old age also, like I look like my sort of bar has been lowered, and now I sort of ask the question, would anyone mistake that for something else? Like, is someone going to be like, oh, is that from Ghostbusters? No, they're going to be like, oh, that's the Returns crystal, right? Like, no one's going to be like, oh, is that the Dark Crystal? I love that movie. Yeah, no, looks good.
yeah,
And the ones from the Christopher Reeve movies are also great. Like he did a couple different. I didn't know there were so many different variants in the movie. I had no idea. And I was like, I'll take one of each, please. So those are fun pieces to have too. I don't walk around like in snow throwing them or anything, but maybe I should.
yeah. We never know.
Never. That's right. You never know.
Well, yeah. There was a ship, like the crystal of the baby ship, and then there's
Right. When you put the thing in, right?
yeah,
There's
Jor-El.
the barn one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the what do you call it? The Brando crystal, which is this one.
Please hold.
Yeah, this one here,
Yeah,
which is
it is,
in
yeah.
Superman 2.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Jor-El crystal, which was the one that he actually puts into the console, I think.
Yeah. So
Um,
cool.
Yeah.
It's so great. What a great time to be alive.
All right. Yes. Yeah.
So what about you? What are you, aside from your aspirations to make a Superman Returns costume, are you working on anything at the moment?
Costume wise, or
Yeah, or anything? Props, costumes, building a car, a spaceship, what?
I'm very, very, very slowly working on an Iron Man suit. So,
Oh, okay. Which one?
the Mark 42.
Is that the
That's-
the cream and red one?
Yes.
It's a nice suit. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's at first it was the Mark III, but then this one really grew on me because I think it's like it's probably, I feel it's the most technical suit out of all of them. It's just got so many, obviously it's splits apart. It's got so many working parts, but it's just a beautiful suit all around. So
And are you 3D printing?
I am. I don't have any. I don't have any bits to show you because it's all in the garage.
Remember Pepicura?
Oh, I was just talking about Pepicura the other day, and wow, yeah, that was a long time ago, and that was tedious. I gave up on Peppercure projects only just because, like, I was the same as you, just very meticulous about getting it perfect.
I,
And
I have a, well, let me throw a statement at you. You tell me if you think it's correct or not.
okay,
I think perfection is not possible with Pepicura.
unless you're really good. I've seen some good ones. I've seen some really good ones.
Like it's so prone to warping, and when you start putting on the resin, it just all unless you get it just right. If you're using the wrong card stock, and like there's just if you do it when you're cutting it out, if you get it a little bit wrong here and a little bit wrong there, or now it's twice as wrong when you join it together. And
I know it's to the paper thickness I usually went for was 300 GSM, and
yeah,
that really held up well. And I remember seeing in some of the forums, everyone was using like wooden skewers just to hold the helmets together.
yeah.
Yeah,
Man, back in the day,
back in the day. I know, I feel so old now.
it's so interesting. Like that was such an interesting time. Like that was so groundbreaking. Like that opened so many doors. People are like, oh my gosh, I can make anything. Like I have a printer and I can go to Home Depot and get some Bondo and some resin. I can make an Iron Man suit. And there's always one guy who like made a beautiful suit. And he's like, it's Papakura. I was like, I should do. And then like everyone was producing PEP files for everything. And then 3D printing came along.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh, I'll do that instead.
And even some of the models that you get now, like I think the leading modeler now is like DO3D.
Yeah. I love their stuff. They do a lot of stuff. They're prolific.
Like I've bought a couple of helmets, and yeah, just the quality you get with them is insane. And they pump it well. They pump it out really quickly too, because there'd be a trailer release of something,
right? Yeah.
And no
like
joke, like a week later, he's got that model.
Yeah.
Well, Dave's got that model.
Yeah, it's impressive. I wonder, is that like a team of people, or is it like one dude who just works all the time? Or
I think, I believe it's one person running it, but I feel like there's a team of 3D people behind it. That's
gotcha.
Yeah.
That's another thing. What a great time to be alive. Like, if you're interested in making something, like it's so accessible now. Like you can find a 3D file. You can, if you don't have a 3D printer, you can buy one for a couple $100, or you can send it to a 3D print service provider, and then you have it, and then you just have to clean it up and paint it. Like, amazing.
Yeah, even foam is still a popular one.
Yeah, for sure. Foam fabrication. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
that's one of those things where it's like it's so cheap. Those foam mats are so cheap, and like the stuff people make with them is amazing. And the techniques are. I think there's a lot of artistry to it. But at the end of the day, you're cutting a foam piece and gluing it together. So it's very accessible. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Like you don't have to sculpt, you don't have to mold, you don't have to cast, you don't have to cook the stuff. You just glue it up. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, what time is it for you?
It is
down under.
1:30 in the afternoon. So
okay, that's
we start. So be. Hang on.
But it's like Friday there or something, right? Isn't it like last Thursday in Australia?
Thursday, yeah. So
okay, yeah.
Was it about 6:30 for you?
Yeah, that's right. 6:30 on a Wednesday evening.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm hoping to get down to your area sometime this year. Not only do I want to go to Hobbiton real bad, but I also want to get back to Australia for a while. So if I'm in Melbourne, I'll look you guys up.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah, that'd be cool.
In Melbourne, not Melbourne.
Melbourne, yes.
Melbourne.
Yeah, the last time I was in LA was 2019 and 2018. I went to San Diego for Comic-Con, so that was a mind-blowing moment.
Yeah. Did you fly up just for that, or were you in town for some other reason?
Yeah. So me and my mate just wanted to get tickets, and we were up at like 3 a.m, and I didn't get any, but he's like, dude, I got in. And I'm like, yes. I think I let out the biggest scream at like 3 a.m. And
nice.
Yeah, and we just built a trip around that, really. Yeah.
So what do you think of San Diego Comic-Con?
Oh, amazing. Like the community was so welcoming. Like actually, I didn't print this or anything. I just got it. There's a costume place called Excosa. I don't know if you've heard of
Oh,
that.
X-Coaster. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Bought a ton of Star Trek stuff from them.
I just got this. It wasn't painted, and this is probably the best paint job I've ever done on a.
Nice. It looks great.
Yeah, like I sprayed the thing gold first, and then masking. Oh my god, masking all the little bits here, and
Yeah.
spraying it off. So I did the gold first, then the gunmetal, and then all the silver bits, and it was just like getting an X-Acto knife and just like tacking little strips in, and
Yeah.
and it came out of that. And I got just a replica jacket. I couldn't get all the other things in time, but that was enough. Like I just made up the rest. And I go there, and everyone's just loving it. Like kids coming up, all other Star Lords coming up, just wanting photos. I'm like, this is awesome. And like the cons we have here, like the space was like twice the size over there. It was just so many things to look at. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good time. That's cool. I'm glad you had the costume experience. That's fantastic.
Yeah, like following Comic Con, especially Hall H videos over the years, you're just like, yep, I want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get into Hall H? Did you see anything in there?
I couldn't. One of my because it was summertime, and my friend can't be like out in the heat for too long, so we just kind of had to skip it. Like,
Gotcha.
yeah, it was.
That's overrated. You can see it all on YouTube the next day anyway. So, okay.
But we weren't shy of like there was so much to see and do. So, and we had the best. Well, I believe we had the best days, which was Friday and Saturday. So
That's right. Yeah, those are the prestige days to go. That's fantastic.
and then I caught a Marvel photo shoot, and I just went, "Yep, I'm getting in that. That looks awesome." Like
That's
out on the
fantastic.
steps.
Yeah. Those are great. That's really cool, man. That sounds awesome.
So it was good. Yeah.
It's great. We should come out for another one, man. You got to do Dragon Con next. If you want real madness, you should go to Dragon Con.
Yes, Dragon Con and New York Comic Con is one I want to go to.
Yeah, I've never done New York Comic Con. It looks amazing. I kind of want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I will do New York Comic Con, and there's also one in Chicago. I think it's called C2E2,
Okay.
which looks really cool. I've been going to San Diego Comic Con since 1986. And
Wow.
I think I'm kind of over it.
Every year?
I missed a couple of years, but pretty much nonstop. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
I was trying to get tickets a few months ago, but then they had that big glitch, and I'm like, nah, screw.
yeah. Well, I think like last year I didn't have a very good time, and I was like, I think I might be over it. Maybe.
Yeah.
Not conventions, but maybe San Diego Comic Con. And it's gotten wildly expensive.
Yeah.
Like if you want to stay in a hotel in town and you got to have a meal or two, like it's a few thousand US dollars for the weekend. And then you're also missing work, so unless you're taking PTO, so it's like it racks up fast. And I'm like, I got stuff to do. I got a Batmobile to build, man. Come on.
That's it. I got a mate. Actually, you've probably heard of him, Panther 34.
Say again?
Panther 34.
Don't know him. Who's that?
His name's Steve, and he does a really good 89 Batman.
Oh, send me his Instagram if you don't mind.
I will.
I'm a bit of Batman fan myself.
Yes. Where's the photo I did?
One of the great tragedies, sir, is I'm way too tall to fit into an accurate Michael Keaton Batman costume. Like I'm pretty much the same height as Ralph.
Yep.
But like Michael Keaton's 5'9". I am not. And so most of the armor suits out there, the kits out there are either taken off real deal stuff or sized for the average gent. And the ones that are for taller people, they didn't like stretch them out. They didn't stretch them taller. They just made them bigger. So it looks weird. Like if I put on like a set of upsized Keaton armor, it looks weird. So bummer.
What are you, what are your thoughts on the Flash version?
I really liked it. I thought it was a very like a respectful homage to the previous ones. It seemed to be like that was like the next logical step for a Keaton Batman suit. I thought it was great. I loved it. I think the only nit I had is I thought like the scallops looked a little strange going straight out. That's it. Other than that, I thought it was great. I've put a lot of thought into making one of those for myself, but then I'm like, I got so much else going on. If someone does a good version for a tall gent, I would probably buy one.
Oh,
Nice. Yes. Nice.
yeah.
It's a good looking suit. Yeah.
Yeah. He does
Well,
it.
cool, man. Maybe
Yeah.
I should do that too. You trying to are you like a drug pusher, man? You're trying to get me hooked on new projects. I won't do it.
That's what I do. Well, that's what Andrew says. He's like, you got to stop doing this. I'm like, well, I think we're all passionate about the same thing. So, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, dude, that goes back to exactly what I was talking about at the beginning. Like it's like passion. It's a very kind word, but it's like all us lunatics are kind of drawn to each other because of our lunacy. Like
Mm.
if you meet someone who's like a football fan and you try talking to stuff about them, they're like, I don't know, I want nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm the same way. I don't really want to hear about. I guess there's a Super Bowl coming up or something. I don't know, but like that doesn't really interest me.
Mm. But the trailers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But again, those will be on YouTube immediately after. So
I know.
I am looking forward to apparently there's going to be a new Fantastic Four trailer at Super Bowl. So that could be cool.
Yeah. Well, they just released one the other day.
Yeah, it was really good.
The
Did you
teaser
see it?
one. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it looks good.
It does. Like, yeah, going back to the originals,
Yeah.
like the original suit design and
Yeah, it looks very classic. Yeah, I dig that. I think that's a good choice. I think it's really interesting. I haven't been this excited about a Marvel project in a long time. So
It's funny. It's everyone who's been following it since Iron Man, the first Iron Man, is just like, we've obviously seen X-Men, followed it since that beginning, but the real beginning, like, of the MCU, Iron Man. But I feel that everything just was wrapped up after Endgame, with the
for sure,
exception of
100%.
No
100%.
No Way Home.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Spider-Man movies have been the bright spot after Avengers Endgame, but I actually just did a rewatch of the Avengers movies a couple months ago. And I know they would this was not even on the table, but they should have just stopped. They should have just said let's let it simmer. Maybe in a couple years we come back and we reboot, or we cast a new Cap. But like it's been a tailspin since Endgame, and like I don't know, man. I'd love to see the focus switch to like Fantastic Four, do the X-Men. I mean, come on, you got the X-Men now. Do some more Spidey stuff. Like, don't. I think they've sort of like they got some real good mileage out of Lower Decks characters. Like the Daredevil Punisher show,
Yeah.
the first season of the Luke Cage one was pretty good. What was Jessica Jones was really good. But like, I don't know, man, they just keep getting more and more obscure. And even then, like you could like look at Iron Man, C-level character back then, right? But they made a great movie out of it. It's not that it's a C-level character, it's that they just can't seem to get it right anymore.
Yeah.
And man, I saw the trailer for Fantastic Four and I'm like, I think Marvel might be back.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing Captain America, even though it's like, I don't know, it just, I'm going to go see it regardless, but it just hasn't really caught me yet.
I'll see it for sure, but like I didn't love the Winter Soldier and Cap show. Like I thought that was all right, but it didn't. I was like, all right, cool, I guess. I'll see it, but I'm not super hyped about it. And I've heard it's terrible, so
You got to expect that, I guess.
yeah.
Couldn't couldn't any be worse than Madame Web.
Clearly, you have not seen Craven.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
like Madame Web. So by the way, I have not heard this as fact, but I am very confident that the only reason they're making those movies is so they can retain their relationship with Marvel and then get their slice of the pie when they make another Spider-Man movie that earns 2 billion.
Yeah.
So they don't have to, Sony doesn't have to lift a finger to make a great Spider-Man movie. But to retain the rights, they've got to put some work in.
Yeah.
And it's the only way I can wrap my head around. Like Madame Web and Craven and Morbius were objectively horrible movies. Like they made no sense. It was literally like I don't even know where to start with those movies. But like Sony's made some great movies. Like that's a mature filmmaking company. And they're just making these disasters. Like Madame Web was so odd and the marketing was so weird.
Yeah. I saw some scenes, like especially like a spider guy in the jungle. I'm just like, nah.
Yeah.
Sorry, but no.
Yeah. Honestly, the best part of that whole movie was the 30 seconds where they showed the 3 women in their spider suits jumping around and stopping crime and the stuff that was all in the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why couldn't they have just made that movie? Like I would watch that. Anyway, sorry, this has turned into movie commentary talk. Sorry.
As well, while we're there, I think we should at least give it some credit to talk about the new Superman movie.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm excited. Like there's a few things like I don't love the suit, but I didn't love the Ralph suit to begin with, so I'm kind of like, all right, well that might change. I think it looks great. I think my only fear, and this fear has not been assuaged as of yet. My fear is that it's just going to be Guardians of the Galaxy with Superman instead of Star-Lord.
Yeah.
There's a lot to suggest that will be the case.
Yeah.
And like honestly, like James Gunn's real strength is taking obscure characters, making them really likable and fun, and then making $1 billion from them, which is great, right? Like, that's great. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, like when I was in high school, I wouldn't go near that comic book. It was trash. It was stupid. Guardians is not a great comic, right? Like you think Iron Man is C tier, like Guardians are like F tier, right? Same thing with Peacemaker. Peacemaker's not a great character, but that show was great. But it was also like it obviously shared. Peacemaker and Guardians share a lot of DNA, right? Like stylistically, they're the same. The writing style is the same. So all of that said, I'm hopeful that formula is not applied to Superman.
Yeah.
But who knows? But that's another where I'm totally going to see it, and I hope it's good. I will definitely see it, and I hope it's great.
Yeah. I mean, they did like a really good guitar riff of the John Williams theme, which I thought was awesome. Different, very different take, but I'm dig it. So
it was a great trailer. Like honestly, the only thing that I really didn't like about the trailer is the suit. I think it's bad design. I don't love it.
Like there's been so much debate about it, whether it's going to be fixed up in post or
it won't.
Yeah.
They said the same thing about Pattinson. Remember, they were like, "Oh no, this is just his version 1 suit. He'll get a real suit at the end." No, he won't. No, he won't.
But
he won't.
Even that one I grew to love as well. It was like a bit at the start. I was like, okay, but
yeah, people love that suit. I'm like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. I think Corn Sweat. He looks cool. He looks very heroic, and he looks dopey as Clark. So that's great. That's cool.
Yeah.
Visually it looks great. Like the trailer I've watched like 10,000 times. Looks great. I personally love the idea that he's bringing in a bunch of different characters from the DC universe. It sounds to me like we're not going to have to sit through an hour of origin stories. It's just going to hit the ground running. That sounds great to me. I think it has a lot going for it, and I mean, there's a lot riding on it too.
Yeah.
Um, so far, so good. I think, yeah, like I said, my only fear is that James Gunn does what he's really good at.
Exactly.
What about you?
I'm optimistic about it. Like, yeah, the suit. I like it how they've got the yellow S on the cape. The
Yeah,
Kingdom
that's
Come
cool.
emblem is it's going to take a bit of time to grow on me. But yeah, I think for anything, it's the cape and the boots that need to be good.
Yeah.
As weird as it is to say, like, just like probably the two best ones I've seen, are obviously Reeve and Routh's, and just like it's just like when they're like like when he's flying straight out. It's just something about the boots that make it super aerodynamic.
Hmm.
All the other ones
Interesting. Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
They're more like, oh, I don't know what's the word, like really just boochy. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. They just don't. They feel like they're like cheaply made. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Where
Yeah.
these put it, put a lot more detail in, like more. They're more sculpted. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all sounds right. I think for me, the suit is a distant second to the story. If
Yeah,
the story's great, the suit really, like it's fine. I don't care. But we shall see.
that's it.
Not that much longer to wait, man. It's coming up too. I can't believe it.
Where are we now? Oh, it's like February already. That's yeah. It's flying.
Like, wasn't it Christmas the other week? Now
I
it's
know, right?
February. Weird.
Well, yeah. July will be here in no time.
Yeah, and I think if it's one of those things where this movie has to do well. Like I'm sure Warner Brothers has basically said, James Gunn, if this movie doesn't make $1 billion, you're out. That's my guess. Because now, like, $1 billion is the entry level for a blockbuster. If you're not making $1 billion, you fail.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's under a lot of pressure, and the whole universe is going to be structured around the success of this movie and characters from this movie. So like, but then I also like I really scratch my head about the Hollywood engine in general. Like how do such terrible movies get made? Like where does it go wrong? Like I've worked on projects where like everything was in the right place, but it just didn't come out right. Right? Or you can even have a movie that's great, but because of marketing or timing or like Kang the Conqueror, man, they had a whole storyline set up around that actor, and then he screwed it up. So like, well, we got to go back to the drawing board. So there's a million things that can go wrong in a movie, but man, you think like I don't know, man. I just feel like Superman is says the guy who isn't a movie maker. I feel like Superman is just such an easy character to write for. Like you have, like 80 years of story and lore to draw from. Could you maybe make 2 hours that don't suck? Right?
Yeah.
Am I too optimistic? I don't know.
No. Well, I have a feeling James Gunn's going to do good because he's been under Marvel pressure, and and when you do a Marvel project, the expectations are crazy high. So, and plus he's the head of the studio now, so for DC. So, yeah, I feel like fingers crossed. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm looking forward to it. That said, I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's good, and I'll definitely see it in theaters.
yeah, man.
Oh, they'll get my $25 or whatever it's going to cost to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll make sure it's IMAX.
absolutely. I wonder if it's. Do you know they're doing a 3D version? I would see it in 3D.
Don't know. It's very rare that we even have 3D movies anymore.
Bummer. I guess it's sort of out of fad. So, oh well. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Come on, James Cameron, bring it back.
Yeah, seriously. Hey, that's right. Yeah, Cameron's going to bring it back. Yeah. I saw Man of Steel in 3D when it came out. I thought it was
Right?
cool.
Wow. Yeah.
Long time ago. Were you alive then? Were you alive then?
Yeah, I was in the 3D. Well, I think what did I see? Avatar like 10 times in 3D.
That's cool. Yeah, that was a great use of 3D. Like Avatar was very immersive. That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the only kind of way you can watch it now is if you've still got the old technology with the TV and the glasses, but like through a VR headset, which
Yeah.
I've tried, and I'm not sitting through a 2-hour movie with it.
Yeah. I think I'd get a raging headache or something from that. Yeah. That doesn't sound pleasant. Cool.
I'm happy just to go to IMAX. That's good enough.
Yeah, pay the money, see the movie. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, David, we should do this again.
Yes, absolutely.
Grab a, by the way, what does that do? What's Melbourne Superman's real name?
Andrew.
Andrew. Grab Andrew.
Yep.
Let's get some drinks. We'll do another one of these. It'll be good fun.
Absolutely, man. This has been great. Thank you so much for
No, thank you. Is this really like the first one you've done like this?
I've been talking about doing one for years, and I'm just like, I don't know where I want to go with. I just want to I've got so many things, whether it's movies or 3D stuff, just talking about it. And, I was like, because I've been talking about Superman so much with Andrew, I'm just like, either we're going to do one or I'm going to find someone eventually that'll talk about it. And and this just became the perfect opportunity. So, yeah, man.
Well, if you're curious, I can promise you there is an ocean of people who are just as interested as we are in this kind of stuff, who love doing this kind of stuff. So I think if you turned on the spigot and wanted to do these regularly, you'd have no shortage of quality guests on your show.
That'd be cool. I don't even know what it's called yet. So,
well, good, man. I'm glad I could be your first, man. This is good stuff. We should definitely do this again.
Absolutely, man. No, thanks again. No, it's really good.
All right, sir. Have a good rest of your day, and I will see you on the computer.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot.
Man. See you later. Bye.
And that's a wrap on the very first episode of the Pixels and Props podcast. A massive thank you to our debut guest, Matt Munson, for taking the time to hang out and share his incredible insights with us. Be sure to check out the show notes for the links to all of Matt's amazing work. Since this is our brand new show, your support means everything, and I really appreciate you tuning in to this podcast. If you enjoyed our chat today, please take a second to like this episode, subscribe to the show, and share it with fellow makers, artists, and pop culture fans. It's the best way to help us grow and bring you more awesome guests. Until next time, keep creating, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Pixels and Props podcast. Thank you so much.